Bro, listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good, host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Can't get enough baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to weigh a mine for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
All right, there's nobody I'd rather have on the podcast right now. It's not just because I'm at his house. He just ordered me tacos.
Good tacos, too.
But we'll be the judge of that. All right, Daniel Bard. So for people who are watching this or can see, you have something on your right arm. It looks really uncomfortable.
This is the latest fashion trend in
Major League Baseball.
You'll see it at any clubhouse. At least a handful of guys wearing them, unfortunately.
It's so when you did see put it this way, okay, when you saw guys in your situation, when you were playing.
I'm still playing, Rob.
No, when you were playing, I know. When you were playing, when you didn't have a thing on your arm.
Right, when I was healthy.
When you're healthy,
yeah.
Sorry. I did not mean to insinuate
yeah.
anything. Did you look at them and say, okay, you know you're out for the season, what's your life going to be like? You know?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of just wonder, what do you do all day? I look at, we had Marquez, Senzatella last year, Gilbreth, 3 mainstays on our staff were all just hanging out in these for 2 or 3 months last year, and then you start seeing them without it and you're like, hey man, you lost the brace. It's like a big step even though you still can't really do anything. You kind of feel bad. You get treated a little better when you wear it, everyone holds doors for you, and someone let me skip in line at the grocery.
Did they really?
Yeah. So I might keep it around to it's really good going through to TSA too.
Oh, you can get right through.
Well, they kind of feel bad. They're like, yeah, can you move it? I'm like, no. They're like, okay, come over here, and you skip a bunch of people and you do the special line, and they just pat you down.
Yeah, there's no way you're taking it off.
No. So there are some benefits.
Not
many, but.
But you said it so. You obviously the idea, and you had the surgery on May 1st. What exactly was the surgery?
This was a flexor tendon repair.
Okay,
so
and it went well?
Similar to Tommy John, but it's not Tommy John.
Okay.
It's a little different area of the elbow.
But it went well?
Yeah, they said it went well. They said, it was kind of what they saw on the MRI. It matched up once you got in there, and they stitch it back down, kind of tie it down like a shoe, like you're tightening a shoestring.
Yeah.
Put a few wraps in there and let
so
it hit.
You make it sound so. You're I feel like you can do exactly what Dr. Meister did.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Yeah, give you a shoelace and some string.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And then you just let it heal. Give it some time and rehab it, and hopefully we're good to go.
So did you know that you were going to have that thing on?
Yeah, I figured there'd be some kind of brace
contraption.
Or sling. It had a neck strap when I first got it.
Yeah,
right?
nah, it's
that
not
thing
happening.
Was chafing, and we ditched that pretty quick. So honestly, once the pain goes away, which 3 or 4 days you're pretty sore. Yeah. Now it's just I have this thing locked at 90 degrees, and it's.
Do you have to sleep with it that way?
Yep.
Ah.
Yep.
How long do you have to have that on?
For me, it's 8 weeks.
Okay.
And it varies a little, I think, doctor to doctor, and depending on what the procedure you had, but I think 6 to 8 weeks is pretty standard.
And when can you? Because we're just going to jump right ahead. When can you throw a baseball?
They said, I think we're talking around 5 months after surgery.
Okay.
You can ease back in, so that kind of falls right in end of September for me. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Start a throwing program.
Yeah.
So I'll probably back off and try to just get ready for possibly.
Give me a comp.
Next season.
Give me a comp. Everyone loves the comps.
On what?
Someone else who's had this.
Oh, this exact surgery?
Yeah.
So just the flexor is pretty rare. I'm in a pretty rare class.
Congratulations.
Well,
you
most people do.
You get to through TSA.
Most people do just the UCL,
Yeah.
or they do UCL and flexor. It's kind of rare to do just the flexor. Colby Lewis did it. I know that.
Okay.
Colby Lewis and more recently Anthony DiSclafani.
Yeah.
His got announced as a flexor repair, but he actually had both.
Oh.
I found out later. So it was fake,
So it's not
fake news.
It's not the same. He's not part of the club.
No, he's a double guy.
Yeah, he's
Just flexor. I don't know. I got a really
Colby Lewis.
Colby Lewis had just flexor, which is weird.
But you don't have. You said throw it whatever in 5 months and
It's still like a 12. It's basically a year.
a year. Okay.
Pretty close to a year.
Where you're pitching.
Pitching in games.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you had said that when you looked at guys, you're like, what do you do all day?
Yeah.
So does that hit home now?
Yes. As you can see, I'm at my off-season house right
Yeah.
now. Just for a couple of weeks, they told me to head home, and again, there's I'm seeing a PT here, but there's so little you can do that it's almost. I didn't want to waste our team trainer's time, so home for a couple of weeks, getting to enjoy being home during baseball season,
Which is weird. Must be weird,
super
right?
weird.
Yeah.
And to have you here is even weirder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's put that on the bumper stickers.
Yeah, I mean, but if I've learned anything, it's you just take things as they come and try to enjoy it. So I'm getting to take my kids to school and rejoin the team here in a couple weeks, and try to be a good teammate. And
Well, you
cheer
said
them
we were
on.
here. You said you wanted to watch. You watched the game. You watched the Rockies games every day.
Yeah, I watch pretty much all of them.
Yeah, and I mean, is that hard to not hard to do? But is that like sort of like I have to do this because I have to stay in it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just like I just got through a pretty normal spring training. Well, I was rehabbing a knee injury.
Yeah.
But I was, in spring training, getting ready to pitch, and kind of thought I was gonna be like maybe 3 weeks late to the season and join the bullpen. So those are still my boys.
Yeah.
I like watching them.
Are you looking forward to
seeing them
going
do
out
well.
to Denver?
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, because
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be, you don't get that rush every night of playing, but there's something fun about just being in the clubhouse and supporting the guys around you.
to go back to sort of like the existence of players. I said it to you, like I see Trevor Story walking around, and I think there's the initial of, oh shit, this sucks, to the acceptance of this is what my life is going to be like. And what sucks about it, I would imagine, there's a lot of things that suck about it, but like that you're preparing for how you envision a year, a season, and then all of a sudden, well, I'm taking my kids home from school, which, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think having a family definitely kind of eases the pain, gives you something else to focus on for the time being. But, especially guys that are younger in their career, I think, and they're on this trajectory, and then boom, you get hit with an injury and you're out for a year. I'm an older guy, so a year to me is like, all right, it's another year.
But you had not, because you had never had, I mean, we know that, what you had before, but you never had like sort of this abrupt.
No, never had a big injury, really. Made it to 38 with one elbow, so it's pretty good.
You did pretty well. You did pretty well last year with one elbow. So,
Yeah.
But that's another part about it is there, once it creep into, hey, I knew this was bad and it's going to be better, and I was decent, and now I'm going to be okay. Like, I'm going to be even better when I come back. There must be like that optimism.
Yeah, well,
in.
I mean, for my situation, it wasn't one pitch. This was 2 years of kind of elbow just hurting more and more every week, and getting to a point where I just couldn't get through a bullpen.
Yeah.
So then you get the MRI, and you're like, I don't know, maybe it's the same, maybe it's just more inflamed. And then when the MRI confirms what you're feeling, that it's getting worse than it was, it all kind of makes sense. And you're like, you know what, gave it all I could. Everybody can play through a certain amount of pain, but there's obviously a threshold, and then there's a point when it literally you can't throw the way that you need to throw to get people out. So I was definitely past that point.
Well,
I think I was past it last year, but I was grinding through it.
But again, it's better than ever.
That's the plan. Brand new elbow.
Let it be said, let it be done.
Yeah.
But when you look at, there's so many, we've talked about this before, there's so many injuries. This is why I wanted to talk to you about this, because it feels like there's a lot of guys going through this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've talked to guys, or if even before this, if you've talked to guys about, okay, what's this look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just something you accept. I think that you're going to have an arm surgery at some point if you pitch long enough. If you don't, you're one of the rare few, you hope. I'm fortunate that it happened later in my career, right? And then you hope that you bounce back too. There's no guarantee that you'll be the same guy right away. So, but it's going to happen, if you play this game 10 years or more, like, I don't know, you should look up the math, but probably pretty high odds.
I like science. Yeah.
Pretty high odds that you're going to get cut on elbow, and you hope it's not shoulder. Elbow's always better than shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, we had talked, I was going to pass along your compliments to Ellen and Dare, who was on the podcast, about her take.
It was unbelievable. For someone that doesn't play the game, and she's not like involved, daily in the game, to have that like awareness.
Well, tell me about like what
she said. Something along the lines of, basically, it's ridiculous to ask pitchers to back off on velo to save their arms. I think she related it to like, she's an actress,
right?
She related it to like actors and actresses like willing to get injured for a role. Pitchers are the same way. Like, we will go balls to the walls, training and throwing every pitch in the game the best we possibly can, knowing that it might cost us at some point. Because your window's small. I want to be the best I can be. People know that velo and stuff gets noticed more than it ever has, because it's measurable. And then, I think she hit on the fact, she's like, hitters are optimized now too. Hitters have caught up in some ways, like to where they can sit on a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball if they know it's coming and square it up pretty consistently. So that just means we got to be that much better to stay one step ahead. So you can't just back off and sit 93 until you get in a jam, because you'll be in a jam every inning.
It's first of all, that's what everyone's trying to find a solution. We've talked about this before. Everyone's trying to find a solution to the injury problem, and it's a big. But I think that's one of the takeaways. I think there's an acceptance. As much as we say, oh my goodness, we feel so bad for the pitcher, there's an acceptance of it. Like the fact that you're saying that that's right on the money, like, okay.
Yeah. It still hurts when you get the news.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the earlier you are in your career, like it hits even harder, if you haven't established yourself or, gotten some kind of contract where you feel secure, like you don't know if you're ever going to get another chance. So that's a very real.
Do you think there's an acceptance? The pitchers are of the same mind that you are, or do you think pitchers are, oh man, you're asking me to do this, or you're asking me to do that, or this or that, or I have regrets about maximum? Or do pitchers understand? Said it's like an NFL player almost, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you're
NFL
have some level of physical discomfort if you keep doing this.
Yeah.
But you might set your family up for life.
Yeah.
Which most people take that chance.
It's funny because, again, that's NFL thinking.
Yeah.
It hasn't been.
Well, we're lucky it's not our heads,
Yeah. No, I know.
Our heads are, for the most part, we're already screwed up bunch, but at least we're not.
Well, and also there's the coming out on the other side of it, where you have a guy like, I don't think anyone thinks that Spencer Strider isn't going to come back being good.
Right.
Because you know why? Because there's guys have had Tommy John type. They come back. That's how it works now.
Yeah.
You feel bad for them for a year. You feel bad for the team for a year. But okay,
Right.
You know?
Yeah. The last thing I respect the hell out of the starter, it's a dying breed, but the starter that can pitch it in the low 90s and then reach back when he needs it, or maybe just live at 91 with movement and deception. Like it's becoming a lost art, but there's still those guys out there that just eat up innings in big league games, like a Martin Perez or Hendricks has done it for years. There's value to that, but I think what the problem is, people have realized it's the notion has changed, where it used to be like you got to draft guys with velocity because you can't teach velocity. We can teach them how to pitch later, right? Now it's like we can teach velocity. Like you can take a lot of guys and add 3-4 miles an hour. It's a lot harder to teach a guy how to pitch these days. Or I don't know if it's harder, but it's you just don't see it being taught as much. And I'm talking in college and in the minor leagues. Like a lot of the focus is make your stuff as nasty as possible, and then ride it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like a lot of teams have had a lot of success doing that, and you go through a lot of arms. But it is like the Rays have made a pretty winning way of it. They've run through a ton of pitchers, and they ask their starters to go, balls to the walls for 75, 80 pitches, and then they hand it to a few relievers, and they do the same. So.
I honestly like the way that you just phrased it, because all my life that's been the narrative. You can't teach velocity. You can't teach velocity. And I was like, wait a second. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
You can teach it, and you can teach, with the way we can measure stuff in a bullpen now, you can teach how to have an elite movement pitch too, whether that's elite movement on your fastball, elite movement on a slider, sweeper now. Whereas before you're just using the eye test and maybe a radar gun.
Yeah.
And, the difference between like a really good slider and then like an unhittable nasty slider to the eye aren't that different. But you look at them on a TrackMan and you're like, oh, that one moves six more inches. They're both good pitches.
Yeah.
But that one that moves the 6 more inches, if you can harness that, you're unhittable.
Yeah.
If you throw that good one, you're going to be good for a while, and some guys will swing and miss at it if you locate it well. But everyone now is searching for that unicorn pitch that you can throw down the middle. The hitter can know it's coming.
Yeah.
And it's still really hard to square up or even make contact with.
Yeah.
You look at the elite guys. You look at Josh Hader. His fastball, he throws it 70% of the time. Everybody knows it's coming. It's down the middle a lot, and he gets a ton of swing and miss. And he's the extreme, like, really,
Well, like, Kenley's like,
he's got the putter,
Rivera. Yeah.
Very hard to square up.
Right. But everyone's trying to find their individual pitch that can do that.
One pitch that you can rely on in a 2-0 count with bases loaded, here it comes down the middle. Try to hit it.
And you can also throw strike one. I'm going to get ahead of you. Here you go, right down the middle.
And if you can pair something with it that tunnels well, doesn't have to be a nasty pitch in its own right, but you got, say, a really good cutter, and you can run a little sinker off of that, then you're set up even better.
I mean, we were talking earlier about when you had to get your two-seamer about this. I don't know if you want to tell. Like, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I have always thrown a sinker my whole baseball career back to high school, but mixed 4 and 2 seam, and in 21 I was relying mostly on a 4 seam, and it was a really bad 4 seam movement wise, but the velo was good. So I'm throwing it 97, 98. I'm like, this should be a good pitch, and it's just not. It's just consistently getting barreled. And so I was, I still had a good slider, and I was trying to find just a fastball that played. And whether that was trying to chase carry or chase sink, I didn't know what was the right answer. And I had a guy I talked with through a bullpen with that off season, and I thought I was going to be like a low slot 4-seam guy the next year. And so I threw a few of those, and he's like, can you do the opposite? Can you sink it from a higher slot? And I was like, yeah, I can always sink it. So I do that. He goes, that's your best fastball. Because the high slot makes the hitter think it's going to have carry. That's what their eyes tell them. That's what they see. Higher slot, pulling down on the ball. This ball's going to have some carry, and then it does the opposite. It sinks. So that was the reason, I think, for my success that year was kind of just found that pitch and relied on it heavily. It still had the good heart.
And you can, and he's measuring that and saying, "Hey, listen."
From that release height, that amount of movement, hitters aren't going to see it.
You ever go back to? Well, you can't really do this, but when you were so dominant in like 09, 10, about and seeing you, it was, and the way I always phrased it was like a legit weapon. Like you can come on, you can come in and the bases loaded, and there's a good chance you're going to get out of it with weak contact or strikeouts. But you did it with a fastball that was a fastball that nobody else had. Like, wouldn't it be interesting to go back to see why, if it was just that simple, if like your velocity was just so good?
Yeah, that's the thing. I averaged somewhere around 97 on my fastball back early in my career. And I averaged 97, not last year, but in like 21, 22. The difference in that 97 and the league average fastball, you know what it is?
What?
Well, the league average fastball, I think when I came in was like 91.
Really?
And now
And that was 08.
That was 09.
09.
09, it was like 90.9, I think was the league average fastball. I was throwing 97, so I was 6 miles an hour above the average. 2 years ago, I was at around 97. League average fastball was a little over 94. So now I'm 2.5, 3 miles an hour above the average. So it's not an elite pitch anymore. It's the same pitch, but 10 years later, 12 years later, even though it's the same pitch, the league has changed so much that it's now a tick.
The hitters' reactions, like for you, I know it's been a while, but like the hitters' reactions thinking back must have been insane. Like that must have been, because it's not like you had. Now we talk now about you got to have movement on everything, and maybe you had a lot of movement on your fastball. I don't know. All I know,
times I did, but again, nothing was getting measured back then.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, "Oh, that one, had a lot of sink," or that one looked like it, had some carry.
Yeah.
But we couldn't measure any.
But it was more, I think, it's just guys couldn't catch up to it.
Most of it was just velo.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So, yeah.
Congratulations on evolving.
I just try to stay the same. Everybody else gets better.
No. Listen, I mean, I think it's a credit to you about that you've evolved. So it's much like when I used to throw newspapers against a window, and
Yeah.
it's big J journalism. It's not that way anymore.
No.
I'm sitting here holding a mic. What fuck?
Got to adapt or die, right?
Exactly.
Adapt or die.
All right, thanks.